Hello everyone, welcome back to the new semester. So the project we are going to introduce today is about a smart system for diet monitoring. My name is Juan Cui. I'm an associate professor of the CSE department. And then my lab is working in the field of system biology and biomedical informatics. So we have a couple of projects related to cancer and obesity in informatics research. While working with the health experts, we realize obesity has become a major public health crisis internationally. So just in the US alone, 35% of adults are obese. And then the prevalence is continuously increasing during the past decades. However, the manual technology for keeping the meal log is very tedious and time-consuming. So normally it suffers from the drawbacks such as underreporting and low adherence. So our vision here, our plan here is to develop a user-friendly smartphone-based system that can provide ultimate diet assessment and monitoring. The proposed system will include 4 different modules. So the first module will interact with the user to recognize and access the food intake based on the smartphone captured context. So then it recognizes the nutrient from the system and will feed into the metabolic models to calculate the energy produced in the system. So the third module will integrate exercise data to automatically identify the energy consumption. So by this way, you can sort of calculate the real-time energy balance within this individual. So the last module will identify unhealthy life behavior related diet habit through leveraging the digital social media data. So you can see here that the 2 main functions the system will provide will be give the user the real-time energy balance. And then the second will be through this network social data analysis to provide a reminder to the user to show them the eating habit and to avoid any unhealthy food intake or overeating in general to achieve the ultimate goal of the weight control. In the past, the graduate students in our group have developed 2 of the modules. So the first one includes an image-based of a classification system where you can recognize the food component based on the picture people upload. Here we use a finger to use as a reference mark to estimate the volume of each item. And then the second module is a metabolic system where we simulate the real metabolic pathways, including the one break down the proteins, carbs, and then lipid. So that we can monitor the levels of energy production and then, for example, also glucose inside the biological system. So based on this proof of concept study, we actually realized that the predicted items and the estimated amount is pretty close to the ground truth in this case. For image-based food recognition, so you can imagine if you have a plate with a very clear separation of different food items, then it's very easily you can make food fragmentation and then predict each individual item precisely. However, if you have a stacked food plate, so this plate is overlaid with multiple different items that you can barely see, so then the prediction doesn't make much sense. In order to improve the performance of the image-based food recognition, especially for the homemade food, so we focus on domestic cooking here for the new function. So the general idea will be that we will base on the image of the ingredient instead of the cooked meal, so that it will be much easier for the classifier to recognize each item. So by that way, we can calculate the energy involved in the meal and then can make a suggestion, hopefully, with a lower calorie alternative or more nutrients meal alternative to the user. So at the same time, we also consider the image taken from the recipe. So basically, before a user start to cook a food based on the selected recipe, so we will be able to pass the information on to calculate the possible energy can produce from this meal. So this will demonstrate the two current new development. So the first one will, based on the ingredient image, try to estimate the nutrient from the entire collection. And then based on the personal history, we can improve the classification performance of each item. The second one will take a recipe and then partition each item and then do the same calculation. Specifically, we are addressing multiple different challenges in this development. So for example, between zucchini and cucumber, visually they look very similar, but they have different levels of nutrients and people use them differently. So to avoid the misclassification between these two, we will integrate a probability model to calculate the co-occurrence of the food atoms to improve the prediction. So the second challenge is the volume estimation. Here we also explore the new techniques using this checkerboard and then different models to reconstruct the food atom and estimate volume and then abundance. There are 2 students currently working on this part of development. The proposed development we present to the senior design team is that we hope we can find a group can help us with the mobile apps development, so which can integrate all the research components we have developed before. And then with the updated food image, we can further refine the food classification system and integrate the multiple type of image module into the final system. And then at the same time, we hope that the team can help us to integrate as much as possible the user data from other sensing devices, such as the smart plate, the Fitbit tracker, or something like smart scale into the system. So the last one, which is still under development, is about how to use the social media kind of a data, which we would like to see some of the preliminary result in half a year from our current research students. By that time, we probably can consider to integrate that model into the system as well. The goal is to develop, by the end of the year, 2 different versions of the app. So the previous group gave a name of seafood of this system. So C represent for capture, calibrate, or they also tease as my last name C. So I hope that within this system, user can take image of the food and the recipe, so we can identify different food items and then estimate the nutrient, so that all those information will be take as a meal history for the user, so they can manage their diet themselves. But at the same time, the GPS function will enable the user to pick the menu food from the restaurant. And then integration of the metabolic module will calculate the real-time energy production, while the wearable devices will capture the real-time activated data. So eventually we'll output to the user the real-time energy balance through this system. Besides the validation where we can use the public image data to test the performance of the system, we actually have 2 internal validation plans. So the first one is to use the data shared from the Nebraska 4-4 Youth Development Program. So this We Cook After School program actually try to teach K-12 kids how to make nutritional food. So the image we collect them is a plate where the students designed, and then each one will associate with the expert scored information based on the nutrient level. So the second test will be done based on the patient we recruit from the Methodist Hospital in Omaha, this named Better Living Program, so that we will let them test the prototype of the software once it is ready. So you can see that the proposed system, we hope that they can make it easier for user to record their meal and activity and then maintain a healthy lifestyle. So hopefully it can help control the obesity pandemic. So in general, we believe the AI-based health system can help decide what and how much and what time we should eat. So if you are interested in this project, welcome to join us, and then contact me if you have any other questions. The last page provides you a few of links that you can access the data information or the technology you will probably use for the development. As I said, right, so the research students in my group is still working on the development of each of the research component. So the data we have downloaded in our own server, but there's a bunch of them in the public literature as well. So to improve the data quality, we can still continuously collect new data from ImageNet, for example. So there's a deep learning module that you can get familiar before started, and then all the other API related to the information we need to collect from the sensor devices. So that's all for today. Thank you.